Welcome to the Chappaqua Central School District Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, June 17th. Can I have a motion to open the meeting? Can I have a second? Second. All in favor? Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, welcome to the last meeting of the school year. We made it. I have a few things to say to get us started, and then there are a couple items for us within the President's report to vote on. So it wouldn't be a meeting with me as board president if I didn't do a little bit of gratitude to start us off again tonight. What I want to do tonight is just address all the people that are here at this table. So starting with the admin team, Jamie, Andrew, Josh, and Christine, and Adam, who I know couldn't be here, and he has a very good excuse for not coming, to just thank all of you for your partnership and your dedication and work over the last year. I don't know a harder working group of people, and it's been a pleasure to partner with you as the board president, but in the 2 years prior as well. So thanks to all of you for all of your work serving our families. Lisa, you're up next. Thanks for keeping us prepared, organized, and following all of our protocols, correcting me when necessary, and for another very smooth election cycle, as always. Well done, and I don't know how you get it all done, but you do. It's amazing. And then board members who are staying on, I wish you all good luck at managing whatever comes your way. I've learned a lot from each of your perspectives that I'm going to take with me into my professional life, since I work in education. And thank you in advance for making the right, hard decisions in the best of students that I'm sure you will face in the coming years ahead. And then I want to end with Hillary. We just did a little ceremony out there, but I want it recognized in the public meeting how much I appreciate your 6 years of dedicated service to the district and all the families of Chappaqua. You found a way forward through many unique challenges. I won't attempt to enumerate them all. That was done a few minutes ago, but suffice it to say, you've earned a little break for yourself. Your expertise and institutional knowledge are going to be missed, but please know you've left this place in a much better place than you found it. So really well done. I think it's at this point that, Hillary, you also wanted to say something. So before I shift over to the business, why don't you do that now?
Yeah, I had a few parting thoughts, if y'all bear with me, for my last board meeting. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to serve on this school board. I have learned a lot and met so many amazing people these past 6 years, and it's been so wonderful to get to know not only my fellow board members, but so much of the community here beyond the people I've met through the channels of my own life. I wish both Tim and Allison lots of luck as they join the board in July. I know they will both be great board members. We are really lucky that we live in a district where there's so much interest in running for the school board. Plenty of communities have to beg people to run. The enthusiasm for our district and for making it better is one of the things that sets Chappaqua apart, and we are better as a district and a community for it. I also believe really strongly that the BOE should be a role that's open to anyone. Any member of our community who wants to run for this board should be able to do so, provided they meet the requirements. In 6 years since I first ran, I've watched the elections change. My first race, I barely noticed any lawn signs. By now, they're basically mandatory and a lot more to boot. I just want to mention this because this is an unpaid elected position. We don't want it to turn into something where candidates feel that they have to spend hundreds of dollars in order to run, or something where they feel that they should ask other people for money to run. Asking others for money literally never occurred to me. But we don't want to get to the point where these elections become prohibitively expensive for them to be open to anyone in the community, or where people take other people's money and then feel beholden to them. The last thing I want to say in my last meeting is that I've worked in and with public school districts in New York State for roughly 20 years, and I feel so lucky to have landed here to raise my daughter. What I've seen more than anything else over the past 6 years is that we truly have the best of the best. The most capable and caring teachers, staff, administrators, and district leadership I've ever worked with, who are all so forward-looking all of the time. Even though my time on this board is coming to an end, I'm so glad that I get to spend 5 more years here in CCSD as a parent. This truly is the best of public education, and I feel really honored to have played a small part in that and to have made so many wonderful friends through doing so. Thank you all so much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Hillary. So what's on the agenda tonight? Well, we're going to appoint the first Chappaqua Central School District student board member. That's coming up in just a second. We've got a end-of-year district update focused on the strategic plan. We've got maybe some more discussion around the device policy situation. And then, as is typical for the end of the year, there's lots and lots of change orders and contracts and things that set us up for next year. So with that, let's go to 111, which says, be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby appoints Matthew Woldstatter to serve as an ex officio member of the school board for the 2025-26 school year, subject to the requirements of District Policy 2245. Someone like to move that?
I would move that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, congratulations, Matt.
Matthew, would you like to say something to the public?
Thank you so much for appointing me to this position as the student ex officio board member of the Chappaqua Central School District Board of Education. This is something that I've been interested in for many years now, and as school administration and Board of Education and just school governance overall, and I'm really looking forward to working with you all next year. I'd specifically like to thank Board of Education members for holding the interview sessions, as well as the interview committee, which was comprised of several district administrators and faculty within the district. And I'd also like to thank my peers who supported my application to this position through a petition. So thank you all so much, and I really look forward to working with you all next year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. And then I'm going to move us to 1.12. I will move 1.1.2, which is to adopt the revised 25-26 district calendar. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Question, what
Yep.
was the change that we made from the last one?
Yes, so we now have the Friday off before Memorial Day. And then we added a half day in March to support K through 12 parent conferences. And then I removed a half day in November because we have evening conferences now in November, so we didn't need to have that additional half day on November 10th.
Great, thank you.
All in favor?
Right, so I plan on sending this out tomorrow, immediate, with some reminders about the schedule, and then just some language around the heat alleviation plan, because I have some concerns around Monday, just to give everyone a heads up that I'm looking at
And
it.
you will highlight the changes that we just made?
Yep.
Great, thanks.
All right, Dr. Ackerman, over to you.
Here we go. So first of all, we had a lovely ceremony beforehand, so I just want to extend my gratitude to Hillary and Ryan for all your service on behalf of the administration and the staff and faculty in our school district. It's a tremendous undertaking being a part of the Board of Education in so many ways that you can't really imagine unless you're actually a member of the Board of Education, but we know how hard you work and how much work you've done on behalf of our students. So I just want to, I gave much longer speeches out in the foyer, but I just want to just pause for a moment and thank you on behalf of all the staff and faculty and administrators here in the school district. So I also want to thank Joel Anderson, the president of the PTA. Okay. The PTA position has evolved since I've been here. And Joel, I know that I'll have a moment tomorrow under the tent to thank you, but I do want to thank you on behalf of all the work you've done this year on behalf of the PTA, but also with your focus on mental health and supporting families as they support students who need additional additional emotional support as they navigate our school district. So thank you, Joelle, on behalf of the staff, faculty, and administration for all of
And the board too.
and the board. Okay, great. Okay, and so I just wanted to share, we are recommending, and the board knows this isn't new information, that on the agenda today, we continue Carol Bartlick in the interim position as the coordinator on a part-time basis. And so the reason we are supporting not moving towards hiring a full-time person at this point is because we're still like working towards figuring out what the recommendations will be from the reading fellowship in terms of what our ELA approach will be. And we have multiple pilots running next year in foundation and in some other literacy-based experiences that I'm going to share in the district update. Plus, Carol has been anchoring the world language program at the elementary schools next year. She's been a part of that selection committee and shaping that program. And we feel like it would be helpful as we transition to a new leadership team in the pupil personnel services department that we have a little consistency. So we are recommending Carol continue on a part-time basis into next year. And then we'll talk as we go through the budgeting process, what we feel like this position should look like moving forward. And then there's a grant on the agenda from this publishing company. They had provided some books for our classroom libraries, and then they gave extra books to us. So we have to, we're asking for you to accept that donation to West Orchard Elementary School. So that's the superintendent's update. And then we have our end of the year events coming up. We have our moving up ceremonies, our graduation this weekend, and we have a pre-K moving up ceremony. That's new for us. And our last day for students is next week. So we look forward to celebrating all of our students, particularly our seniors, in the days ahead. And so now we're going to move into the end of the year review. I plan on going through the slides, and then we're all here to answer questions either during the presentation or at the end. So Josh is going to click for me. So I just want to remind the board and the community that we provided a mid-year update. And what we did in this presentation is we anchored all of the work of our 3 guiding groups in the strategic plan. So just a reminder, we have a fellowship that is focused on the 5 target areas in the strategic plan. Then we have a science of reading fellowship that's working on the audit recommendations. And then we have our district equity team, but everything can fall under the umbrella of the strategic plan. And before we started this year, we had our 5 areas that we were focused on, but we also did a few studies to help support this work. So those studies resulted in recommendations from a reading audit on what we should focus on. And also we had a demographic study, a Princeton study, electronic bus feasibility study, and then we had a Tri-States evaluation on our STEAM program. So those studies really anchored the work that we did collectively as a team. Hold on one second. And while we were organizing ourselves around this work, we were also able to make some adjustments based on recommendations that were made last year, even before these studies were completed. So we were able to reduce fund balance. We morphed from the profile of the graduate to student literacies. We decreased elementary class sizes, and we started to explore IB and life school. And so now I'm going to talk about the work that we've done in the spring and then our future planning moving into next year. So, and I'm going to frame this around the strategic plan. So this semester and this year, in terms of sense of belonging, we worked on developing a program for our new students to the district, a cultural calendar. We created an opportunity for our juniors to have a narrative story exchange to support the college essay process. We implemented high school advisory. We created a cultural calendar. And we also worked with the policy committee to introduce some policy to help support our work around the area of belonging. Next year, we're going to focus on, the DET is going to focus on revising our mission statement and moving towards sunsetting our district equity policy, just based on some executive orders coming out of the federal government, some information coming out of state head. We feel like this is a good pathway forward for us to consider as a district, and we haven't really revised that mission statement since I've been here. We're going to look to expand the narrative for experience to other grade levels. We're going to expand high school advisory and revamp and enhance the lessons. We're going to evaluate peer leadership. We are going to take a closer look at staff-student mentoring. We're going to reimagine Middle School International Day, and we're going to create systems to continue to identify students who feel alone. And I just want to remind the community that we've done and we continue to do surveying of our students. And what we found this year is that our students are reporting that they're feeling good, supported by adults, their parents, their friends, our staff, and they feel safe in school and they feel really hopeful when you compare them with other students and across the nation. And we also continue to measure our work in really targeting sense of belonging. And our students are reporting growth in the way that they feel we treat them at school. They're feeling more positive that we are creating a fair environment for all students, and they're learning about each other. And we continue to make progress in that sense of belonging. But of course, we have further that we need to go. So if you want to see the full survey, you can do that online. We've presented it and sent it out to staff. And so in terms of rethinking the curriculum, and this spring, we focused on really expanding our knowledge of IB to see if it would make sense for us to explore this K-8, creating a world language program. We established a philosophy of literacy. We have some pilots that we're running, which I'll talk about in a second. We moved the college essay to the 11th grade curriculum based on some feedback our seniors gave us. We focused on creating that Northwell Health partnership. We revamped our college process, and then we made some adjustments to phonics. And so for next year, the strategic planning committee is looking at advanced placement courses and possibly moving them down to grade 10. We're going to make a recommendation to the board of whether or not we should move forward with IB. We're going to make literacy recommendations to the board based on the pilot. We have a digital wellness initiative that we're working on. We were one of 12 schools selected in the nation by Pinterest, so we will be sharing our progress on this. We're revising the high school schedule. We're going to revise the middle school schedule to find a pocket of time for clubs, AAS, and lessons to be that so they occur within the school day, but not within like the traditional classes, so kids don't have to be pulled. We're going to launch our academic teams. We have parent conferences now, K through 12, and then we're going to start to explore whether or not we should consider offering smaller classes for our special education students in K through 8. And so just to go back to some of the information that our seniors shared with us, is they shared with us as they navigated the college process that they felt the most important person helping them figure out where they wanted to go to school was their parents. So we're reshaping how we share information to support parents as they support their students as they progress through the college process. And our first step in doing that was we made an adjustment and started presenting to our 10th grade parents last week some information to help them start to think about how they can be talking with their kids about college. And we also found from our students that they needed help with the Common App, and they needed more help with the college essay. So we've done a significant amount of professional development this spring leading up to moving the 11th grade curriculum towards the end of the year to support the college essay process. And that was part of our Narrative 4 initiative with the DET, but also helping our English teachers like develop some nuanced skills to help students craft really strong essays. In terms of world language, we're almost at the end of our hiring. It looks like this is going to be Spanish, but the plan right now is to have one teacher assigned to K2, one teacher assigned to 3-4, and then the teachers would be on a rotating schedule in the 3 elementary schools where students would at least have one 30-minute lesson every 6 days with the classroom teacher, so the classroom teacher can enforce the language that's being taught in the classroom. And that we're going to be doing a lot of planning work over the summer. They've already worked to select a curriculum, so we're in good shape. We're just putting the right people in the position. You'll see on the agenda tonight, there is an appointment supporting a candidate who speaks fluent Spanish. The Reading Fellowship is recommending we run 2 pilots next year. The first pilot is, I'll talk about the easiest one first. The first is Foundation. So that is the dovetail program to the Wilson 1 reading intervention. And we have 10 faculty members who've shown interest in piloting this program. It's really close to Phonics First. So piloting it throughout the district into classrooms is not going to they use a lot of the same concepts. The fellowship also recommended, as we did with the writing units, that we upgrade all of the reading units that are going to be taught in the classrooms that aren't piloting Fish Tank next year, which is easy for us to do, and that we start to integrate the revised Lucy Calkin units into the instructional program next year. And that was supported by everyone in the fellowship. And when I shared it with the elementary faculty, because I went to each faculty to meet with them about this, that was well received, because the reading units were well received when we allowed the teachers to have online access to them this year. And then we have a few faculty members that are interested in piloting Fish Tank in 2 different ways. There are 4 that would like to replace the units of study and integrate it fully into the ELA program. So we're going to support them in doing that. And then we have 2 participants that would like to use it as a supplemental support for social studies and science. And so these will be our pilots next year, and we'll be updating the board on our progress, and we'll be working through this with the Reading Fellowship. The fellowship also recommended, we went over our consulting contracts, and they've recommended we continue our relationship with Gravity Goldberg and her team, and we expand that down to the lower elementary levels. And and our board is familiar with Gravity because she did a session with our board. She did a session with her administrative team. She's done a session with her parents. She taught the science of reading professional development for the full faculty. And so the Reading Fellowship was really receptive to her continuing. I'm very supportive of that. And so her work next year will be on conferencing, strategy groups, data collection, and using that to inform instruction, and then evaluating student work. So now I'm going to talk about the middle school experience, and there's a little overlap between some of what I've already shared, but I just want to highlight for you what we're thinking about. So in the spring, we've been planning for this launch of this program here at Horace Greeley High School that's going to bring students from Bell and Severn Bridges so that they could have an experience with our high school students to support tutoring. So we're in the process of planning that. We'll be running it as the adults, but Share will be leading it as a part of their new strand called Lift, which is pretty neat. We're going to offer a continuing education program course to students in the fall. We're still working on that. We have like 3, but we're in the process of kind of figuring out which one we could use that would maximize enrollment. That would be a pay-for course that much like our SAT or driver's ed classes for our high school kids. And then we're going to offer some extracurricular programming here at the high school for our middle school students, but we're also going to retain the programs at the middle school, but we're in the process of trying to nuance which programs those will be, because it was contingent on the teacher's contract passing, which has just happened. So we still need a little bit more time to plan, but we will be ready to roll come September. We had ruler professional development. We worked with our science faculty members at Bell and Severn Bridges. We've selected a new science curriculum for grades 6 and 7, which is also connected to our 5th grade curriculum. We feel like this will help our students ramp up for the life sciences biology class in grade 8. We are ready to support TSP it'll be housed at Bell, but it'll be for students at Severn Bridges as well. And then as we move into next year, our focus will be on the world language program now at the middle school. It will be on the new schedule, which I explained when I was talking about the curriculum. We're going to look at potentially offering different advisory models. We're going to continue to try to figure out how to connect to kids that are feeling lonely. And we've already started to increase the number of field trips that we're offering to kids. So that's going to be a focus of our group too, both educational and social. And then I want to talk now about 7th grade rigor, because this is going to be a focus area for this. And we've zeroed in on 7th grade because we asked our 8th grade students to think back to 7th grade on their experience, and then to reflect on their experience in 8th grade. And what our kids told us is that they felt like the curriculum in 8th grade was a lot more challenging than the curriculum in 7th grade. So then we asked them to kind of reflect on their classes. And on the next slide, you'll see where you can see in 7th grade that where the kids felt like they were challenged versus what classes they felt maybe they could have been more challenged. And then you can see that shift as they move into 8th grade. So we're really going to unpack this data next year around 7th grade and focus on the 7th grade program and make some shifts based on what the kids are telling us. So I just wanted to share with you that the strategic planning committee is going to be focusing on that next year. All right, so in terms of talent management and professional capacity, our work this year focused on full professional development for the staff in the science of reading, focused development for the English teachers on getting ready to support students in the college process based on the feedback the seniors gave us. We provided executive coaching for the administrative team, not only to support them in their work, but also as a way to address some concerns that we previously had about retaining our staff. And then we've increased our faculty leadership opportunities through the contract. And then our K-1 staff all receive professional development in Haggerty. And then for next year, a major focus for us will be revising our APPR, which is required by law, and to be done in a certain amount of time. So we'll be working with the CCT on rethinking what our evaluation system looks like. And we're going to focus now on creating a more robust recruitment website and figuring out if we can build stronger relationships with our college to attract more candidates, particularly in areas that maybe there are less applicants. And then we also want to focus on strengthening our staff's understanding of MTSS so we can provide better interventions in the classroom. And then continue to offer personalized professional development. And then this next slide, is a significant conversation in July as we shift to the new school year. So this spring, the strategic planning group who's focused on this target area, we worked to create a tuition policy for potentially bringing high school students in. But when we processed it out with the policy committee, we felt like that probably wasn't something that we would bring to the board based on the nuances associated with that here in this community. We did go forward and we solicited interest in seeing if there were companies that wanted to quarterback capital project fundraising for us. And so we did receive responses to that. That's a part of the strategic plan. But as we move forward in the new school year, the Board of Education will have to decide. They'll have to interview these consultants and decide if that's the direction that they want to move in. It's a model that is leveraged by private schools and by colleges, but not many public schools. But it's an area for us to explore. Decided to not move forward. This board decided not to move forward with the Princeton plan or redistricting based on information that came forward from that study. We've completed a sustainability study with the faculty, and so we're going to move towards creating a energy audit based on that data, as well as the experience in coming in and analyzing our buildings. And then we've had a number of district safety and security upgrades in this budget moving forward. And so next year, we're going to continue that transportation task force. We're going to get the results of our energy audit. The board will have to decide if they want to move forward with a consultant. And I am going to remind the board and the community of the projects that we kind of have out there right now that lack funding, just so we have a fuller understanding of why this was a potential recommendation. And then we're going to continue to work to create a fund balance strategy and a long range plan to continue to work to reduce the amount of fund balance that we're using to offset the budget. And so, Josh, if you could just flip through, I'll just take it now because I have my notes. Okay. So we have like a few projects that have been co-created with the CSF that are high leverage projects to impact construction, but they also cost a lot of money. So we have our well, which is our economic, what happened here? I don't know. Oh, our World Economics Lab. And that would be in this room and the space next to us. So this has been developed, but this is about I'm going to say a $2.5 million project. And then we also have our Greeley Student Union that was developed through our partnership with the CSF a few years ago. And this would be over in the iLab. And this is a place for clubs, classes, lunch, individual study. So we have these plans that have been made out. This is about at the time, this was projected to be about a $1.75 million project. And then we have our elementary pavilions that we had created. These would be outside spaces for our kids to have class, to have recess, to support all weather activities. And then we also, and we haven't talked about this, but we're continuing to have an issue with our athletic fields and being able to support our recreation program. So at some point, we should be talking about whether or not we want to look to turf additional fields so that, and put up lights so that kids have more access in the rec program to our facilities, which are becoming a little bit more complicated because of the rain and because of when our kids need to start their games. And so these are just some items that aren't in the budget, that couldn't be put in the budget. And if we wanted to move forward with them, they would either be supported through a bond or maybe a different way. And so that's why the conversation around, do we want to leverage like a mechanism to do this, much like a private school like came from? And so we'll have to talk about that at some point in the future. And so that's the academic update and the work that we've been doing. So we could take any questions if any of the board members have them, and any of my team will answer them depending on what they are. So thank you.
Are there questions?
I have one question, Christine. Will, for the foreign language, will middle school students then have the ability to switch currently language choices at all?
Like right now,
Yeah.
if they wanted to move their language?
Like if you're in fifth grade, well, okay, you're in fifth grade and you said you're taking Latin, let's say. Are you, right now I think we're locked in for 4 years, right? But would they, if they wanted to change, could they change over from Latin to French or Latin to Spanish? Or can it be done at seventh grade, or is it just going to stay the way it is, that you commit in fifth grade and that's it, it's going to take you through 4 years?
Yeah, I think that's going to be, thank you for bringing that up. I think that's going to be part of the conversation around how does the middle school look based on the experience at the middle school, at the elementary schools. When we had gone around to different middle schools to talk about some of what we're thinking about, what I heard from a few of the headmasters and superintendents is that they have like an exposure opportunity for kids at the middle school before they launch into whatever language they want to choose. So I think that we're going to center that in our conversations. Plus, I know that it's important for us to, we don't have a lot of students in Mandarin, and I feel like that is because we don't begin to offer it into high school. So we have to figure out in those conversations how to move that down. So that's all going to be a part of the strategic planning work next year.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, because you know how I feel about foreign language, particularly Mandarin, moving down to the middle level so that we can have greater success at the high school level. Thank you.
Just to piggyback on that question about the foreign language.
Go.
Sorry.
No, go.
To piggyback on that question about the teachers that were on the slide, you said there's going to be 2. And then did you also say that the classroom teacher as well is going to do a lesson?
They're going to be in the lesson so they can reinforce the lesson throughout the week.
Understood. Okay, so
Right. So like the kindergarten teachers, the kids are learning Spanish, the vocab, and then the classroom teacher can reinforce that in morning meeting.
got it.
So it kind of works. It spreads it out without,
Without having
yeah,
the teacher.
without
okay.
having as many teachers to be able to sustain it in the same way as a high school program. Sorry, Matt, yes.
Well, no, it was congruous with the foreign language. My questions are about something a little bit different.
Yeah, great.
How did we choose the teachers who are piloting Fish Tank and Foundation? Did they?
They self-selected.
They did, and were they all part of the fellowship, or
No.
they? Okay.
But we did have a few teachers that, we had a little bit of a criteria around non-tenured teachers.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
not
that's-
placing them in a situation where they were piloting something.
So these
during their
are
evaluation
experienced
period.
teachers.
Yes.
Okay. The 7th and 8th grade data is always interesting to me. I appreciate the way you framed it, saying the 7th grade rigor might need to be elevated. Do we ever consider the reverse, like just tamping it down a little in 8th grade, like or sort of meet in the middle?
Well, I think when I looked at the results for 8th grade, I felt like most kids were telling us that the 8th grade was just right. There was balance between their experience in math and science and ELA and social studies. What I heard from our 9th grade faculty is that it might be helpful for students to have a little bit more of a rigorous experience in ELA before they arrived at Horace Greeley High School.
Yeah, that not challenging at all is
But listen, everyone has, they're eighth graders, so they all have an opinion, so that is for sure. But I think based on everything that we received from our kids, and listen, we had like 254 responses, which is a great response rate. I think right now the focus should be on, based on what I'm
Escalating
seeing here, is
seventh to
seventh
me,
grade.
right.
Yeah, and those are not only based on what the kids are saying, but also our own observations about seventh grade, and knowing that I think we could do a little bit more there to help support the transition to eighth grade based on what the eighth grade teachers have shared with us as well.
Sure. What about fifth and sixth?
Yeah, we're
Is
not
there?
there yet.
Okay, no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know, because it's all obviously linear,
Yeah.
so,
And that's why we made the adjustment to science, sixth and seventh, so now 5, 6, and 7 is aligned.
okay.
So those are things that we're thinking about as well. I just feel like based on what this looked like and based on what we know, seventh grade makes a lot of sense for us to really hone in on next year.
And then just one last one, because it sort of intertwines with what I'm asking in the last question. Who students talk to during the college process, I really found this one fascinating.
I know, isn't it
Were they
great?
only allowed to give one answer?
No,
So they could say, a parent helped me and a friend helped me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm worried about, I think it all ties together, the rigor and the competition that ultimately happens once they get to high school, that only 36% of them even consulted a friend. That sort of worries me in that we're pushing them really hard, and which is great, and the outcomes are the outcomes, but I feel like they should be consulting their friends more. I know I did. So I think like maybe like when we're considering the middle school experience from that lens, understand like we are trying to push them forward so that they can meet their academic criteria, but also like the emotional and mental well-being of the kids too is a consideration for me.
I agree. You know what, this is the first time we've done focus groups with kids, but we had like targeted surveys for kids, and I thought it was great. Like,
Yeah, no,
just-
I
it's a data point,
Yeah.
but it's great to see kids just reflect back to you information to kind of think about, okay, what are they saying? What can we do? I mean, this really helped move us towards supporting parents in a very different way, because it affirmed for me, which I knew, but maybe people here who haven't gone through the college process, is that the parent is really the most important person to kids when they're trying to. I think the parents felt good when they heard that in 10th grade.
Yeah,
too.
and
They
I'm
go,
happy
Oh, I'm
that's-
the most important person. It's great.
and that social media was only 26%
I know.
is good.
It's great.
So, yeah.
I
Okay.
think the only thing I would have to check then at home is that if my high school students took the survey and what they actually reported back on that.
I know I'm not the most important person in my child's
are.
selection process.
Well, I would say, just having gone through the college process twice, that seeing the revamping with the essay is like amazing, because many parents feel like they have to hire a private outside person to help with the essay, and if we can take that extra burden off of families and let them know that in-house they can be getting a really stellar essay from their junior year teachers, it's, well, from the students, but with the help of the junior, or the help of the teachers, I think that's really exciting for the families, and it will help them with the whole process. And I love the idea that we're bringing the process down to 10th grade and starting it earlier, because I think more and more families are thinking about it freshman and sophomore year, and not to stress anyone out, but just to give them a big on-ramp for the Common App and all the minutia of the college process, I think is really positive. And I think the language in the elementaries is going to be great. And just to clarify for people, when you said we're going to redo the APPR for teachers, you're talking about their review. People might not know what that acronym
Yeah, great.
acronym
It's their
stands for.
performance reviews, so they are observed, and so it's the evaluation system to help score teachers when they're in the tenure process, but also for teachers who are tenured, they are reviewed by us as required by law. But now there's a little bit more flexibility in that, so Andrew and I and Adam will work with the CCT and then with the administrators to make some adjustments that will, I think, be better for the district.
And to last end with the middle school thing, as an 8th grade parent, I can say that the rigor of having both the math and science this year is a lot higher than when it was just the math. And so I think that upping the 7th grade to the on-ramp to get us there is really helpful, because I do think that the kids can do it, but I think it was just sort of like oh no, wait, this is hard now. Like I had better buckle down, kind of situation this year. So I think that the more we can prepare the kids for that, the better.
Thank you. Hillary and Ryan, did you have any questions, or?
Good.
Great. Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
let's go to committee reports, for which I don't know if there are any. Alyssa?
Just that I went to the CSF Innovations meeting today. We had their last meeting last week, but this is the Innovations meeting where we were talking about those pavilions that were on the slides. And each elementary school is kind of doing their little wish list for things that would be in the outdoor classrooms, and they're going to bring that back to the CSF board in the fall.
Okay. Welcome to public comment. We welcome public comments, and in respect for each other's time, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Board members may be contacted via email or phone. After the public comment period has been completed, board members may have a discussion amongst themselves regarding comments presented. Are there any public comments? Joelle, please identify yourself.
Oh, I'm Joelle Anderson. 2 more weeks left of being the Chappaqua PTA president, but who's counting? No, now this doesn't affect me. I have going to be an 11th grader. I hear rigor, and part of me tenses up, especially when you're going to push it down to 7th grade. The feedback I've been receiving all year in my mental health meetups is from 7th grade parents. The kids are breaking around 7th grade. So that moms and dads, I've had dads, come to my meeting, it's usually that 7th grade parent. So I just want to caution, because I care about all students, not just my own, when you push rigor down even further, the mental health of those students is vital. And we could be talking about 10 kids, and you could have 100 kids that want the rigor. Don't forget about the 10. That's all I'm here for to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. That moves us to approvals and ratifications. Let's do 3.1 first, which is accepting the minutes from the June 4th meeting. I'll move that. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? 3.2 is the internet-enabled device policy, second reading and adoption this time. So someone want to move that, and then we'll talk about it?
I'll move it.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and then, what feedback, what changes, is anything different?
Yes. So the policy committee met again and we got more feedback than I think we've gotten on any other policy we've put to the community, which is not at all shocking. We got feedback from our kids, from our parents, from our faculty, and from our administrators. And I think that was what was universally, if I had to generalize, nobody wants any flexibility until you hit 9th grade, and then people want more flexibility. But that's pretty much where we've been anyway, right? Like, our kids are not allowed to have their phones out.
People want status quo, more or less.
Yes, people would like to maintain the status quo. We're not allowed to do that. We have looked at the law and how Greeley operates and tried to find the places where we can make it so that we are following the law and helping Greeley continue to operate the way it has always operated. Dr. Sepe was in our policy committee meeting, which was great because, she's running the building. So it was good to hear her perspective in terms of what she needs to not have this become an all-consuming problem. So we think that we've gotten this now to the point where it should enable our kids to do what they need to do during the school day, enable our faculty and administration to still do their jobs and not turn into the phone patrol, and still comply with the law. And it's going to be a first year, and then the policy committee can meet and revise it and do what they need to do. And we'll see if it's still something we need to do.
Kaylee, do you have more to share, since you're on that committee as well?
That was great. Thanks, Hillary.
Anybody else want to ask a question? Or any commentary from you, Christine, on this?
No, I think the one line we added was that use internet-enabled devices other than laptops for scheduled navigation while moving through the hallways to the next scheduled period. That's the one line we added. So it's the best we could do, everybody.
And that really does encompass everything from knowing what day am I in today to what class is next, where is that class going to be held, how long is that, to am I asking my mom to pick me up or my dad to pick me up, at this time because, oh, I just realized I don't have any more classes.
Schedule navigation.
Schedule
Got it.
navigation.
In the broad sense, got it.
We did our best.
Okay, so we ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I recommend 4.1 instructional as presented.
I'll move 4.1. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
And is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I recommend
Any opposed?
4.2 non-instructional as presented.
Is there a second for 4.2?
Second.
Alyssa, yeah. Any discussion of 4.2? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, that moves us to number 5, which is the consent agenda. Use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. It's recommended that the board approve the following items as submitted by the superintendent. Tonight we have 5.1 through 5.28, and it includes everything from purchase orders to contracts, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, budget transfers. I think that's most of it. So is there anything that anyone wants to pull out tonight?
Yes, I would like to pull out item 5.19
Okay,
to be discussed separately.
is that the only one?
That's the only one.
Okay,
If
so let's
anybody
do.
else has anything?
I have a couple questions, but nothing needs to be pulled out.
Okay, so let's do all of them except for 5.19 now. So I'll move that, all of the 5s except for 5.19. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, Alyssa, of some of the other items?
Yeah, do you want to vote on it? We can vote on it first and,
It's up to you.
okay, well, then I'll ask. Josh, for 5.6, can you just explain a little bit more about the encumbrances?
Sure. So throughout the year, the 5.6.
It's a couple of them. It's 5.6 and
Yeah.
5.7.
So they're BOCES purchase order increases. So throughout the year, we encumber expenses for different BOCES orders. We get billed for it from BOCES, so we need to increase the purchase orders. Some of the bigger items are for special education. For instance, we would budget for a student going to a private school, they wind up going to a BOCES program. So we increase those purchase orders. We have made an effort this year to take services that we have in our school district, work with our BOCES to offer them under COSERS so that we get aid back on them. So that's why there's a little bit more in some of the general education and the other items so that we'll receive aid back next year. And then the special ed is because students were in other programs are now in BOCES programs.
And can you just explain on 5.24, SEDCAR 611?
Oh, sure. So we, the SEDCAR 611 and 619 grants are special ed education grants. We front the money for CSE and CPSE services for our students. We apply for a grant and then we get the grant back in the following school year. This year we had increased CPSE services for students that we can enable within our SEDCAR that we increase the purchase order for and the budget for it that we apply for the grant to receive back in the following school year.
Great, thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay.
Oh, this is for everything else
Everything
except
else.
for 5.19? Okay, yes.
Okay. And
Thank
so
you.
now we'll do 5.19. I'll move 5.19. Can I have a second? Any discussion of 5.19 within the bounds of what's allowed for this topic?
Yes, so I'm going to make a statement.
Okay.
So I believe the proposed changes to the superintendent's contract are not in the best interest of the district. I do not agree with the contract extension or the added compensation through longevity pay, but the most concerning amendment is the complete removal of the termination for convenience clause. This clause is a standard provision for superintendents that protects the board's ability to govern with the ability to respond to shifting needs, changing circumstances, and unforeseen developments that require flexibility in managing leadership transitions. Eliminating it completely will also significantly increase the district's legal and financial risk. It is a liability. The board has a fiduciary responsibility not just in the present, but with foresight for the future. We are entrusted to make decisions that protect long-term interests of the district, the students, and the taxpayers. And beyond governance concerns, the timing of this proposed change is deeply problematic to me. In just 2 weeks, 2 newly elected board members will take office. Making a significant and irreversible contractual change, especially one that limits the authority of the future boards, in my opinion, disrespects the voters' recent decision. The current contract already runs for 4 more years, so there is no urgency requiring immediate action. For these reasons, I will make a motion to remove 5.19 from the consent agenda and ask that we table it until the new board is seated and able to consider it. This is the appropriate and responsible path forward. Thank you.
So we already had a motion and a second for this item. So I'm looking at Lisa to say, given the statement that was just made, do we need to alter our procedure or do we vote?
You need to decide if you wish to vote to table it or you need to decide to approve.
Okay. So is there a second then to take up Kaylee's suggestion of tabling this item? Okay, hearing that there is not, then we're going to vote on 519 as stated here. So all those in favor and all those opposed? Okay, provision passes. That brings us to item 8, which is financials. And we'll do 8.1 through 8.4 together. Acknowledging receipt of the claims auditor's report for May 2025, the treasurer's report for May 2025, the appropriation status report for May 2025, and the revenue status report for May 2025. So does anyone want to move 8.1 through 8.4, please?
I'll move.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Great. Notice of future meetings. The new board will reconstitute itself on July 1st at 7 o'clock right here, and they will determine when the August meeting takes place, likely sometime in early August. And with that,
Do you want to acknowledge Jamie's last name?
oh yeah, we should. Yeah, we should also take 1 second before we go to adjourn to acknowledge this is Jamie's last meeting as well. So thank you for your years of service. We did the ceremony for her a little while back, but I neglected to mention that at the top, so thank you for being here. With that, can we have a motion to adjourn at 7:53? Hillary, you want to do it? I do. I will second. All those in favor? All right. Good night and good luck. You're out.